All right, welcome. So what we're building here is a text-based adventure game in Python. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. A game, really? But trust me, this is one of the best first projects you can tackle. It's not just a toy. It hits all the fundamentals: input handling, control flow, functions, the stuff that shows up in literally every Python code base you'll ever touch. By the end of this, you'll have something actually playable. Let's get into it. So first, why Python? Look, the syntax is clean, it reads almost like pseudocode, and the community is massive. You get stuck, there's a Stack Overflow answer for it, guaranteed. Now, what we're actually building is a choice-driven text adventure. Multiple paths, multiple endings, all driven by your code. And the skills you pick up along the way: input handling, conditionals, loops, functions. That's your core stdlib toolkit right there. These aren't beginner-only concepts either. This is the bread and butter of real Python dev work. Here's the thing about learning to code. You can read docs all day, watch tutorials, whatever, but until you're actually writing code and running it, it doesn't stick. A mini project forces you to apply what you know immediately, and there's something about shipping a working thing, even something small, that just builds momentum. You finish this, and suddenly, the next project feels less scary. It also gets you into good habits early: planning, writing, testing. That foundation carries forward into way bigger stuff. Okay, so let's be clear about what we're actually building here. From the player's perspective, they're reading a story and making choices. Simple. But under the hood, your code is doing a few specific things. You've got print, pushing story text to stdout, input, capturing whatever the player types, and then if-else logic branching the story based on that input. You're also storing values in variables, like the player's name, so you can reference them later. That's it. 4 concepts. That's the whole engine. Before you write a single line of Python, you need a plan. Seriously, don't skip this. Step 1. Pick your theme and figure out what choices the player gets to make. Step 2. Map out your story branches. Think of it like a decision tree. Each choice leads somewhere. Step 3. Define your flow and think about which bits of logic you'll wrap in functions. If you do this upfront, your code stays clean, your story stays consistent, and you won't end up with a spaghetti mess of nested if statements. Plan first, code second. All right, 5 concepts. That's all you need. First, print. That's how you push text to the terminal. Second, input. That's how you grab what the user types. Third, if-else, your branching logic, the decision-making core of the whole game. Fourth, while loops, for when you want to keep the game running until the player decides to quit. And fifth, functions. This is how you keep your code modular and avoid repeating yourself. You'll hear devs say, "Don't repeat yourself." DRY. Functions are how you live that principle. Okay, here's your first real code. We start with a couple of print calls to draw a decorative border. We're just multiplying a string by 40, which is a neat little Python trick. Then we use input to ask for the player's name and store it in a variable called name. That variable is now in scope for the rest of the program. The lines starting with a hash symbol, those are comments. Python ignores them at runtime. They're just notes for you or whoever reads your code next. Get in the habit of writing them. Future, you will be grateful. Now we're wrapping our opening scene in a function. That's the def keyword. We're calling it start_game, and we're passing name as a parameter so we can personalize the text for each player. Inside, we use a bunch of print calls to set the scene. Dark forest, wolf howling, 2 paths. Classic. Then we call input to get the player's choice and return it. That return value is key. It's how the rest of the game knows what the player picked. The function does its job and hands the result back up the call stack. Clean, modular, reusable. This is the heart of the game, the if, elif, else chain. Python evaluates these top to bottom and stops at the first condition that's true. So if the player typed 1, we take the village path. If they type 2, fog and game over. And that else at the bottom, that's your catch-all. Anything that isn't 1 or 2 hits that branch. It's basically your error handling for bad input. One thing to note, we're comparing strings here, not integers, because input always returns a string. So choice equals 1 in quotes, not the integer one. Easy gotcha to miss. And here's the full game loop. We've got a while true. That's an infinite loop that keeps the game running until we explicitly break out of it. We call start underscore game to get the player's choice, pass it to process underscore choice to handle the outcome, then ask if they want to play again. Notice the dot lower parents call on the input. That normalizes the string to lowercase, so yes, yes, and yes all work the same way. That's defensive coding. When the player says no, we break out of the loop and we're done. And that's it. You've got a fully functional, playable Python game. From here, you can add inventory, health systems, more branches. The sky's the limit. Keep building.